Good evening, this is Jim Zeeland, and I'm here to give you a Photoshop lesson in CS5 on how to color correct an image using the numbers. This is a method that was shown to me many years ago by a friend of mine, Eddie, and basically the concept here is to make sure that the image is what people would call the 90% color correction method, doing it by the numbers. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the numbers of our red, green, and blue. First, before we start, there's a few things we need to make sure that we have set up here. In Photoshop, you'll notice your eyedropper. Some of the tools we're going to use the eyedropper for one, but we want to make sure that our eyedropper is set up 5 by 5 average pixels. Now the average default is point sample. We want to make sure that we are set on 5 by 5 samples. And we're not actually going to use the eyedropper. We're going to use the color sampler tool, which is that underneath it. So anytime you see a little arrow here on a tool, you just click and hold and it'll give you more stuff. So you can just drop down to the next one that we need. So we're going to use our info palette. We're going to use our layers, a little bit of an adjustments. So let's go ahead and get started with it. So now that I have my color pixel, my color picker tool, and I'm going to click on a white area. So here we have white. If you look at it, it looks a little cool. It was shot in an open shade, so as a photographer you're going to know that it's going to be a little coolish. But I want to make this clean. I want to make it a clean white because I know these shoes were white when I shot it at the wedding. And I was just really fascinated with the shoes. So I want to make sure that the top of this shoe is the clean bright white it was when I shot it, and the black is a clean black. So what we're looking for, if we look here in our RGB, anywhere we click, so we're going to go ahead and click right here. Once we click, we'll notice down here when we're using our color sample that now it has a number. So our number 1 here is our white area. And looking at the numbers, you'll notice that it's high in blue. Kind of explains why it looks a little cool. So here the red is a little low, it's at 190, the green is at 207, and the blue is at 219. So our mission here is to make all these numbers equal, which will give us our neutral color. Same thing here, we're going to go ahead and click on a black. Our black we see is 3, 5, and 3. Now we can leave this alone as long as we're within 1 or 2 points, it's going to be okay. We might want to adjust this as we move on, but we'll see how it looks. We'll see how it pans out. And a lot of times making the adjustments here sometimes will change some of these numbers over here as well. So what we first need to do, we got our points. We got our white point, number 1. We got our black point, number 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and click here and I'm going to add an adjustment levels. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you'll notice we want to make sure that we have a nice evenly exposed image. So if we look at our histogram over here on our far right, we'll notice that we've got a nice histogram and it kind of falls off. There's not much gapping in here, so it's a nice evenly exposed image. Want to make sure that the image is properly exposed before we correct color, because if we start correcting color first and the exposure isn't correct, then we're doing ourselves a very disservice. So picking a good color image or making sure that it is evenly exposed. So now we're going to go off and make this a neutral image. So here, as I move this down just a bit, just take a look at these numbers here as I'm starting to move it. We'll go ahead and move this a little closer here so we can kind of see it. So we'll notice here that as I adjust the white slider, you'll notice that these numbers start to change. Now I don't want to change the RGB all at the same time. What I want to do is click here and I want to separate these channels. I want to click on the red. Let's go ahead and start at the red since it's the top of the list. And you'll notice right off the bat that there's a huge gap right here. This is letting us know that we have some missing information. So this little gap here is representing that. So let's move this slider over. We'll notice that now I'm moving that slider over, and if you'll notice, now the numbers have changed from 190 to 218. So here our target was 218. Remember, within 1 or 2 points, you're okay. You'll notice it looks a little reddish, but I'm not finished yet. So now I'm going to click on the green. I'm going to do the same. I need to move green over to about 218 or 219. And there it is. So now I have 219, 219, and 218. The red isn't perfectly there. That's okay. Remember, if it's within 1 or 2 points, you're okay. Here we got a 4, 5, and a 3. So we're off 1 or 2 points. We can go ahead and try to adjust this. We need to bring the other two down to 3. So let's try and adjust the green. Well, that was a quick move. There's 3 on the green. We got lucky there. And let's see if we can tweak the red. 1, 0, 4. That's pretty close. So now if we look at our image, we'll notice our blue is 219, the green is 219, and our red is 217. And if we click right here, we'll notice that here's before, there's after. Once again, before, you'll notice that it's changing to a cooler color, and click after, and this is the color correct image. So now that I've made this image neutral, I want to go ahead and clear these points, get rid of these points, and I want to just add a little final crop here at the end. I want to crop it into a square, and let's just kind of move this down a bit. And you can hold our shift key down and move it, nudge it up just a bit. I'm going to go ahead and double click there. And there's our image. Let's make it a little bigger. Let's move that over here out of the way of our palettes. And this is our final image. So now we have a color correct image done by the numbers only. Thank you again for listening. This is Jim Zeeland, and I will be making more of these for you guys to watch and learn. Hopefully it's been a good instrument for you. Take care.